Hi guys, it's Nick from Let's Chat, and in this video today I'm going to do my round 13 footy tips, and I'm also going to review my round 12 footy tips as well. So let's get underway. And before I start, I'm going to Melbourne on Friday and coming back on Tuesday. I'll be going to Melbourne to see a couple of footy matches at least, and I'm going to see an NRL game as well, and do some other stuff with some AFL community YouTubers. So now I'm going to review my round 12 footy tips, starting with first game was Melbourne versus Carlton, and I tipped Carlton. Got that one wrong. Melbourne were too good for Carlton. Next game was Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn. I got that one right. Port Adelaide were too good for Hawthorn, with Finlayson and Marshall kicking 5 each and Junior Rioli kicking 4 as well. On the brighter note for Hawthorn, Luke Bruce kicked his 500th goal and he kicked 5 for the day. So not a bad day's work for Bruce in a losing side. Next game was Collingwood and West Coast. Well, Collingwood won that game easy by 50-something points, I believe. Can't remember. Next game was Western Bulldogs versus Geelong. I got that one wrong because I tipped the Bulldogs. I thought the Dogs were going to have a win because Geelong were being out of form. But Geelong, they knew they had to win and they found a way. So Geelong got that win. Next game was Gold Coast versus Adelaide, and I tipped the Suns. I got that one right. The Suns won that game easy after they had a slow start in the game, with Lukosius kicking 5 goals, continuing his good form. And the next game is between GWS and Richmond. I tipped GWS because I thought Richmond were going to fall down, but somehow they won in the last minute with Marlon Pickett kicking the winning goal. And the new coach got their first win for Richmond. And the last game was another 6-point game. This time Essendon won, and I got that tip right as well. So I can't remember the sub's name for Essendon who got the goal, but it was a sub, super sub, who got the goal apparently. Zach Merritt had a great game, got best on ground. So yeah, I got 4 tips out of 7 in that game. So now I'm going to do my round 13 footy tips, and the first game on the Thursday night is going to be between Sydney and St Kilda at the SCG. Buddy Franklin will be playing his 350th game. What a champion he's been. You know, he's won a lot of achievements, you know, especially getting 1,000 goals last year. I remember watching that game where he kicked his 1,000th goal. It was crazy. But besides that, it was a great effort for him to get to 350. And so with Sydney, they've won their last 2 games. They had the bye last week. They won against North Melbourne and Carlton before the bye. And with St Kilda, well, they lost their last game. It was a really shock loss against Hawthorn. That was before the bye as well, so they had to bye last week as well. Since it's at Sydney's home ground, I'm going to tip Sydney here to win by 10 points. So the next game is between the Western Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide on the Friday night. I'll be going to this game with Sammy, Geordie, Will, Arnett, and maybe Bitter, and maybe a couple others, I'm not sure yet. But I know I'm going with Sammy, Geordie, and Will, definitely. Maybe Bitter. But anyways, the Bulldogs had a bit of a disappointing loss to Geelong. Like, they were favourites to win, considering Geelong had a few injuries. And with Port Adelaide, well, they've won like 9 in a row. They're continuing their good form. They had a big win over Hawthorn. They were just everywhere. So I'm going to tip Port Adelaide here to go for the 10th consecutive win, and I'm going to tip them to win by 17 points. So the next game is between Hawthorn and Brisbane on the Saturday afternoon at the MCG. Hawthorn had a really bad loss against Port Adelaide. It was expected, but a few of their players showed some promising signs. You know, Walpole was good, and Bruce played well, kicked 5 goals, including his 500th goal for Hawthorn, which is pretty good for him. He had a good career at Hawthorn as far, and he's been really good for Hawthorn since most of their good players are gone now. Brisbane, well, they had to bye last week, so they had a week off. So Brisbane, they're the favourites. They should bounce back after their horror loss against Adelaide, and I'm going to tip them to win by 34 points. So the next game is between Adelaide and West Coast at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide had a bit of a disappointing loss against the Suns. They started well, got up to a 30-something point lead, then they choked, and Gold Coast got an easy win in the end. And with West Coast, they were in it for 3 terms against Collingwood, but in the last quarter, Collingwood got away, as they always do. The idiots, Collingwood. But, West Coast, they've been a shit team for the last couple of years and a bit now, and they'll be down there for a while, and this is an easy tip, so Adelaide should win this, and I'll tip them to win by 57 points. So the next game is between North Melbourne and GWS. North Melbourne had a unlucky loss against Essendon. They put up a good fight. They lost by a goal. And then with GWS, they were unlucky to get the win over Richmond as well. So they had a 6-point loss as well against Richmond. But on paper, GWS are in better form, so I'll have to tip them by 19 points. So the next game is between Carlton and Essendon on the Sunday night at the MCG. I'm definitely going to this game, obviously, because I go for Carlton. Carlton had an unlucky loss against Melbourne, losing by just under 3 goals. And Essendon only just got the win over North Melbourne. They nearly had an embarrassing loss, but thankfully for the super sub kicking that winning goal. So I'm going to tip Carlton to win by 7 points. So the last game of the week will be the King's birthday match. It used to be Queen, but since the Queen's not around anymore, they've called it the King's birthday now, the Big Freeze game. And I could be going to this game as well, maybe. Carman22 is trying to find a couple of tickets from supporters or somewhere. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he can snag a couple so I can go to the game, because I really want to go to the game. So anyway, game is between Melbourne and Collingwood. Melbourne had a win against Carlton and Collingwood had a win against West Coast. Both teams in the top 4. I'm going to go with a bit of an upset here this week. Go for a risk. Melbourne to win by a point in a thriller. So thank you all for watching, guys. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in another video. Catch you guys.